for the IICDEM 2026 conference. And this session is actually about postal ballot systems. So as you all know, that India, led by the Chief Election Commissioner, has assumed the chairship of the Council of Member States of International IDEA for 2026. And India's overarching theme is democracy for an inclusive, peaceful, resilient, and sustainable world. There are two thematic pillars. One is reimagining democracy for the future, and the second, independent and professional EMBs for sustainable democracies. And under these two thematic pillars, we have identified 43 interconnected thematic areas, including 7 for global roadmaps, 11 for model international standards, and 25 for global best practices, amongst which this particular session is part of. And so this session examines how postal ballots enable eligible citizens to vote when they cannot be physically present at polling station due to duty, mobility constraints, remote residence, or overseas location. It also highlights postal voting as both an alternative voting method and a safeguard for electoral continuity and inclusion, particularly during emergencies or logistical disruptions. Drawing on comparative experience, the session addresses key operational challenges and risks like secure issuance, logistics, voter compliance, secrecy, delays, and reconciliation, and emphasizes the need for clear rules, transparent process, observer access, and effective voter communication. As far as the moderator is concerned, we have Srimati Banna Pokhriyal, Joint CEO West Bengal. She is a 2016 batch IAS officer of the West Bengal cadre. During her administrative career, she has served in several key positions, including Sub-Divisional Magistrate, Canning South 24 Parganas, Additional District Magistrate at Hooghly, Joint Secretary, Calcutta Metropolitan Development Authority, and also roles in the Department of Industry, Commerce and Enterprises and as a commissioner. Her urban governance experience is derived from being Commissioner, Havra Municipal Corporation, HMC. At present, she is acting as the Joint CEO, West Bengal. Next, we'll be soon joined by Mr. Andre Wimans. He's a Commissioner, CNE, Portugal. He's about to come. So, having served in both the 18th and 19th Commission and has been spokesman of the National Election Commission since January 2025, these commissions have been involved in overseeing the autonomous region of Madeira elections, general election for the parliament, national local elections, and are currently engaged in the presidential election. He has also conducted several information sessions on Portuguese local elections, covering topics such as electoral registration, foreign citizens residing in Portugal electoral registration, voting rights and candidacy, and so on. Moreover, he holds a PhD in physics engineering and a bachelor's degree in computer science, and is a professor in the physics department of the Nova School of Science and Technology, Universidade Nova de Lisboa. Then we are joined by Professor Vishwanath Chakrabarty from Rabindra Bharati University. He is a professor in the Department of Political Science. He holds an MA, MPhil, PhD, and research and teaching focus on public administration and local governance, international relations, state politics, and psychology. He has authored several publications, including works on political violence in West Bengal, Panchayati Raj institutions, and electoral politics. His scholarships combine rigorous analysis of governance structure with deep engagement in contemporary political trends. Then, of course, we have Mr. Riaz Ahmed Bhatt. He's an NLMT ECI. He's a senior academic officer with State Council and Educational Research, SCRT, and an associate diets, Jammu and Kashmir, and a national level master trainer with IIIDEM ECI. With over 7 to 8 years of experience in electoral management, he has trained officers across almost every state and UT, mentoring DOs, ROs, etc. His expertise covers all major electoral domains. He has also served as State Nodal Officer of Sweep and training for nearly 8 years for J&K. He is also delivering the international sessions at IIIDEM for officials of different countries. So now I'd like to invite Banna ma'am to start the proceeding. Thank you.
Namaskar, everybody. A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm Vandana Pokhriyal. I'm the Joint CEO for the state of West Bengal. At the outset of, please, Mr. Wimans, you can have a seat. Thank you, sir. So we are glad that our panel is now full. We were waiting. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So at the outset, let me again introduce you to our members on the dais. We have with us I'll start with the team of West Bengal. I have with me my Deputy CEO, Dr. Sumanto Roy, my colleague from the state of Jammu and Kashmir, Riaz Bhatt Sahab. We have with us Professor Dr. Vishwanath Chakrabarty from the Rabindra Bharati University. And Sir Andre Wimans has just joined us. He's the CNE from the nation of Portugal. I also would like to extend a very, very heartfelt welcome to all of you. I think every session after lunch is a little difficult, but I'm sure that our speakers have worked, a lot of hard work has been put into the presentations that are coming up before you. So I would request all of you to kindly pay attention. And as we have learned from all the sessions that we've been attending since yesterday, that we are here to learn from each other. So I'm hoping that whatever the speakers present you today, something new will come out of the discussion and that we can all benefit from each other. I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to our legal expert, Madam Anamika Pandey from the state of West Bengal. She represents the ECI. And thank you very much. We also have our media expert who's also here. Along with that, again, before starting the session, thank you very, very much for joining us. We want to start our session by a presentation from Riaz Bhatt Saab, and then I'll take over and I'll make my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. Respected chair, delegates, guests, our moderator of the session, Ms. Vandana, IAS officer, and resource persons, including Mr. Andre Wiman from and distinguished NLMTs and export resource persons. As Vardi ma'am explained to you about the main objective of this session, let me start this brief presentation and we'll try to explain you about the postal ballot systems and how election management bodies should regard with this election management bodies. Let me begin it from the agenda. See, we have 6 to 8 points to discuss in 10-15 minutes. So I will not waste the time. I will give you the brief introduction about the postal ballot systems. And see, these postal ballots represent far more than voting by mail. Globally, postal ballots carry multiple meanings, and we will try to understand these meanings and functions. These are a lifeline for voters. Postal ballots are lifeline for voters and lifeline for those voters who cannot reach to their respective polling stations. And who are these people? These are the military personnel. These are overseas citizens. These are elderly voters. These are persons with disabilities and voters who are residing in remote and conflict area zones. So this postal ballot is meant for them. But these postal ballots require careful administrative discipline. And we all know that if we are having a proper careful coordination, only then coordination with regard to the issuance, dispatch, tracking, receipt, scrutiny, and counting. So postal ballots need a proper coordination. All the election management bodies who are assembled here, we can understand this, that this is a very sensitive issue. So we need to proper coordinate. And they are an inclusion mechanism ensuring that a citizen's right to vote survives. Here, those who are on duty and cannot come physically in their respective polling stations, this is the extended facility for them. And they are the test of trust. One can say test of trust because across the globe, we can understand that there are several countries who are adopting like similar way of Indian pattern. And we will discuss in the further slides. Different countries across the globe interpret and implement postal voting differently. If we take the example of Switzerland and Germany, almost in Switzerland and Germany, we have universal type of voting, postal voting there. In Germany, it is 40 to 50% of people cast their vote through postal ballots. And in Switzerland, it is 80 to 100% of people. So these two countries are the countries in the world where we can witness the universal type usage of the postal ballots. Then countries like America. In America, we have 5 states out of total 50 states. In these 5 states, we have mail. We have what you call this elections by mail, postal ballots elections by mail. And 100% people cast their vote there via mail. And in Australia and New Zealand, we have hybrid type of model there. And so different countries adopt different types of what you call these strategies. In India, if we see the largest democracy in the world and its scale and federal diversity, we follow a targeted here, what you call model. and we focus only on military personnel, service voters, persons with disabilities, and persons who are above 85 years of age. So as far as India is concerned, we are targeting we have a specific target, likewise the other countries in the world, like in Australia or in what you call as Switzerland, Germany, in America. There is a universal type of this exercise. So postal ballots bring together rights, logistics, and every voter residing anywhere in the world, he has the equal right to cast his or her vote as far as the other voters are concerned. See, the next slide is why this theme is highlighted under India's IDEA chairship. And all of us know that India's assumption of the IDEA chairship marks a moment where global democracies are re-examining electoral inclusion. So postal voting has emerged as a core area, and what we need to do, because there are expectations. Voter expectations are evolving. Voter expectations are evolving. I have repeated this sentence because across the globe, people are demanding convenience. They are demanding convenience, but convenience alongside credibility. So gone are the days that people used to go travel in their respective polling stations. Now people in modern day, they want convenience, but with convenience, we need credibility. And there are always climatic disruptions like public health emergencies, challenges, traditional polling methods. And then we have digital advancements, and digital advancements are enabling the countries like Australia, New Zealand, a hybrid type of model is being followed. Global mobility is rising. Everyone among us is aware about that. More citizens live, work, serve, or study away from their home. So they too have the right to cast their vote. So it is the postal ballot only facility via which they can exercise their right. And importantly, India's own practices, we will discuss it in later slides, that we have the innovations like ETPBS. We send electronically. All officers who are from India understand this very well. We send postal ballots to service voters electronically. This is the innovation which is being followed across the globe now. And we send electronically, and we get these postal ballots through post or other means. Similar in the hybrid model in Australia. Relevance for election management bodies. What is the relevance? So relevance is that postal ballots demand exceptional coordination. What type of coordination? Election management bodies across the world, they have to coordinate with postal department, defense forces, embassies, local administration, with observers, political parties, and counting teams. Moreover, with the technology providers, ensuring secure e-delivery, with voter outreach teams, ensuring that citizens know their rights. So this is the relevance for EMBs, and we have to follow it, and we have to ensure that there must be exceptional coordination. Why the theme matters today? Postal ballot systems matter because democracies today face multiple challenges. That number one challenge is mobility. As I have explained in earlier slide, that citizens are constantly moving, especially students, migrant workers, aviation stops, military personnel. Postal ballots ensure they remain connected to the democratic process. So that is the importance of the postal ballot. See, in various countries, it is being exercised at universal level. But countries like France, Denmark, India, we have a restricted approach here. And why the theme matters today, we can also correlate it with geography and disaster floods, like snow, forest fires, conflict zones, all can disrupt polling. Postal ballots is the only solution. Postal ballots acts as a resilience mechanism. And these postal ballots ensure election continue even under such calamities or even under such adversity. Aging population everywhere in the world, we witness this aging population and disability. And for those aged people and disabled pupils, many democracies across the world, including India, are formalizing home voting. Now people across the world are following India, and we are also following the EMBs across the world, how they are ensuring their right to the people who are aged people or disabled people. So this home voting is very important to understand. Postal ballots uphold the dignity and rights of voters who cannot travel. So these aged people, especially in India, one who is above 85 years of age cannot travel, cannot go to his respective polling station. So this is a facility extended by Election Commission of India to such aged people, also to disabled people. And many democracies across the world, in the globe, they are also following the same pattern. There are almost 10 to 15 countries who have similar pattern of home voting as we have here in India. Expanding overseas communities, and overseas communities across the world like Indonesia, Mexico use postal votes extensively for overseas voters. We here in India have the facility. Whosoever is abroad, we can provide the facility to him with regard to his registration is concerned. But as far as to cast his vote, she has to come back to India to cast his or her vote. But in many countries across the globe, they have the facility. They are being sent the postal ballot there. And this, what you called overseas communities, especially in countries like Mexico, Indonesia, etc. And in Philippines, we see there are 136 embassies across the world who are helping during the elections. Misinformation challenges, this is the most important thing. And why this theme matter today, we have to discuss this point, misinformation. If you remember the US election 2020, where rumors were spread about the mishandling of the counting, mishandling of the election. But at the end of the day, it was not found correct. So election management bodies have to ensure the misinformation challenges. Transparent postal ballot process can combat distrust and strengthen confidence. So these are the multiple challenges. I have given you a brief, but there are scores of such challenges which election management bodies have to understand. Why the theme matters today, 3 to 4 points I will try to explain you all officers. Mobility, as I'm repeating it again, that citizens are constantly moving, especially students, migrant workers, and the security personnel. So postal ballot is the only solution. And that's ensure that they remain connected with the democracy. So we cannot snatch their right as far as their right is concerned. Another one, we discussed already this geography disasters, aging population, expanding what you called the facility to overseas voters, and misinformation challenges. Now, what are the global trends and patterns around the world? Several patterns are becoming visible now, and countries are following each other. If we see universal posting voting, these are the two countries, very interesting. These are the two countries, one is Switzerland and another is Germany. If we talk about Switzerland, 80 to 100% people exercise their franchise through postal ballot. They do not need to give any kind of justification why they are asking for the postal ballot facility. Similarly, in Germany, almost 50% of total electorates cast their vote through postal ballot. So these two countries are adopting it at par with universal pattern. All mail elections, we have in America 5 states, including Washington, DC, which are sending the postal ballots to each and every elector, and cent percent electors in these 5 states of America, they exercise, they give their vote and throw mails. What they do, simply they send the mail, and in that mail, that is an enclosed postal ballot and the other guidelines and instructions. And after that, casting my or his vote, what they do, they send the postal ballot either through mail, or there are the other facilities like open boxes at secure places, 24/7 surveillance. We have a hybrid system in Australia and Canada and New Zealand. And in Australia, we have the hybrid system. See, there are 3 types of systems across the world. One is universal, which is being followed by Switzerland and what you call New Zealand. Another one is hybrid, where it is what you call New Zealand and Australia. And the third one is all mail. which is visible in America. And hybrid one is also popular in Australia. What they do, like in our India, they send electronically and receive it via postal. In Canada, postal balloting supported by barcode tracking. Similar in India, we too also track via barcodes. In New Zealand, that is very, very important thing to remember and to note. In New Zealand, voters are being sent kits in their regional language, in their simple language, with comprehensive guidance and guidelines and multiple return options. So these people do not need to give any kind of justification that I want to cast my vote through what you call the postal ballot. And always there is a technological integration, barcodes, QR codes, temper evident envelopes, GPS tracked dispatch. Several countries are following this, and digital applications for postal ballots are increasingly common. So technology is not far behind here. Special voting arrangements. See the special voting arrangement in India. And I would like to inform you all officers, you all distinguished delegates, that in India in 2024 general elections, almost 28 lakh voters, 28 lakh voters cast their vote through postal ballot, through home voting. So the country is now formally recognizing Indian pattern, and we are also recognizing we are learning from the other countries. There are 10 to 15 countries which have a similar pattern like India, and India have a similar pattern like these countries, where we send the teams, mobile teams, to hospitals, to prison, to the places where these aged people live above 85 years, who are not able to walk, are not able to come their respective polling stations. So special voting arrangements is now becoming visible across the world. Rapid growth post-COVID, we have seen this new thing that many election management bodies expand postal voting as a crisis response mechanism, like in South Korea, the USA, and multiple European nations. So these are some what you called global trends, which are prominent ones, which I have shared with you. Otherwise, there are scores of such trends available. Now, standards and best practices, I will conclude it in 3 to 4 minutes. There are 4 core pillars. One is legal clarity, another one is institutional roles, quality standards, comparative insights. What I want to say that as far as the legal clarity is concerned, all election management bodies must have clear laws with regard to eligibility, timeline, secrecy, chain of custody of postal ballots, etc. And see these countries like Canada, UK, Australia, they have the different types of such rules. And as far as the transparency is concerned, transparency must be there, observers, video documentation, there must be observer access, consistency. So these are the 4 core pillars which we have to follow. And now this is the another slide. Countries having developed strong innovations that India and others can learn from. As far as the Australia is concerned, I have explained that automated scanning of postal envelopes, and that helps them to reduce the errors and speed verification. Similarly, in Finland, messengers-based delivery to remote Arctic regions, overseas postal voting supported in Philippines, and United States and Switzerland. I have explained to you that there is always available 24/7 these surveillance. As far as the India is concerned, I have explained to you that we have some innovations with regard to service voters, military personnel, electronically transport ballot system, ETPBS. Then home voting for 3 categories, restricted one, person with disabilities, above 85 plus, and those who are on election duties. These are some innovations in India across the world. This is the second last slide. That what are the key learnings for EMBs, election management bodies? Minimum guarantee are non-negotiable. Verified identity, ensured secrecy, robust chain of custody, clear timelines, field practice. Let me explain you that best standards come not only from strong legal framework, it comes through ground realities such as local logistics, how you are able to provide staff experience and voter feedback. Then always there is trust and transparency followed by technology enhancement. And these are some recommendations for all the election management bodies to streamline SOPs, to adhere the guidelines, and interagency coordination is always there. Training is important training as much as you can provide. So then for technological enhancement, future adaptations, and for peer learnings under IDEA, sharing models of each other, election monitoring model. That is the another important thing to understand. Creating postal ballot practitioners network, joint research on postal ballot integrity, annual reviews of election management bodies. So the conclusion is that, to conclude, postal ballot systems are not only an electoral mechanism, they are a symbol of democracy's communication to leave no voter behind. A soldier on the border, to ensure that a soldier on the border, a senior citizen at home, a citizen serving abroad, a person with disability, a voter in a remote mountain village, each has the same fundamental democratic right and dignity. This was all about officers with regard to the postal ballots. I have tried to explain. Thank you all. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you, Riaz Sahab. I think he very beautifully explained why the theme has a lot of relevance today. And the next presentation I'll be making on behalf of the CO West Bengal. Thank you. Thank you. So what we'll try to do is, I feel that a lot of points have already been raised by my fellow speaker. I'll try so that there's minimum repetition and so that, other points also can be covered in the limited time we have. So we all know by now what postal ballot is. It is basically when, as a AMB, I'm trying to send a ballot and I'm trying to collect it remotely. So this is what I'm trying to do as far as the postal ballot system is concerned. Now, why are the countries, why are the nations today emphasizing on postal ballot is because I think we've been listening to all the sessions since yesterday, and everywhere the same point has been repeated that for any successful democracy, voter turnout is a must. And so we want the maximum voter turnout, and with that aim and objective, we are trying to introduce the system in various countries also. And of course, Indian system, Riaz Sahab has explained very beautifully. Now, we all know as far as India is concerned, we have a very, very elaborate network of polling stations to the extent that a voter basically travels to 1.5 or 2 kilometer periphery, finds a polling station, goes there, casts his vote with the help of an EVM. But the system gradually realized that even after having this vast, elaborate network of polling stations, some voters were still being left out. And as a very responsible country, maybe we realized that we need to make changes, we need to make modifications in our existing systems. And so the concept of postal ballot came in. Now, as far as the Indian model is concerned, and I'll not repeat whatever has been said, we extend this facility to a very few categories of voters. It is not that every voter can avail this facility. And that is why maybe the Indian system can be called a little restricted in nature, but restricted also because otherwise we are giving huge scope for the voters in terms of our elaborate network and our huge election machinery that is deployed so that every voter can come and vote at the polling station. In fact, our core act, the Representation of People Act and the Conduct of Election Rules clearly mandates that the general norm for every voter should be to come to the polling station and vote with the help of an EVM. So we thought that people who, in the worst case scenario, can't make it to the polling station should ideally be availing this facility. So service voters have already been mentioned. There are people from the armed forces, the armed police forces, people who are employed by the government of India, but for some reason are posted outside the country. We have a beautiful system which is called the electronically transmitted postal ballot system, via which the returning officer, who is responsible for conduct of elections in a constituency, primarily will take the nominations, will ensure that the withdrawals have been done in due time, and when the candidate list has been finalized, will log in and ensure that the electronically transmitted postal ballots reach the service voter or are generated within 24 hours. So there's a strict timeline regarding the delivery of postal ballots in our election machinery. Second is, we have again and again mentioned that we deploy a huge machinery there are a lot of officers, personnel who are deployed during the time of elections. So how do they vote? How do we ensure that as a democracy, we are giving them enough opportunity to cast their vote? So then came the concept of people on election duty. For that, we have a system which is called the facilitation centers. Now, when we give our training personnel or the manpower who are part of the election machinery, when we give them trainings, we ensure that during the second training, they can come and cast their vote as a facilitation center. The facilitation center is primarily simulating the environment of a polling station in a center. So you will have the same people. You will have the presiding officer, the polling officer, somebody who can identify you as a voter. And then you come in and with complete secrecy, you can cast your ballot. So this is the facility that the people on election duty can avail in India, which I feel when we were doing the research worldwide, we also got to know that many other countries also give similar facilities to their election machinery. The third has been discussed at length, so I don't think I would want to repeat it. But these are the categories of absentee voters who need to actually apply before the returning officer. Once the election notification has been made, they need to apply that, this is the mode via which I want to vote. So we have an elaborate network of booth level officers who help these people who are the absentee voters so that they can cast their votes sitting at home. We ensure that the mobile polling teams reach to their homes, ensure that their votes are taken in complete secrecy. Now, if we look at the global adoption patterns, we realize that they're very varied in nature. So something that you find in Switzerland might not work in Germany. Something that we find in India might not work in some other nation. So there are basically two models. One is the universal model, and the second is a restricted postal voting model. I've also tried to give a few examples here. Now, we must understand that wherever the postal ballot system is working, there you will see of course, with the minor changes that every country has introduced, but overall, the structure remains the same. So we, just like in our country, when I send a postal ballot to my service voter, I give him 4 things. I give him a declaration that he needs to sign. I give him a ballot. I give him an inner envelope that he has to put his ballot into, and I give him a returning envelope. And you will see that globally, this is the pattern that is followed by every country with minor changes here and there. So we see that in countries, you are given a voting signature card, which is derived from the electoral roll of the country. Now, the difference is that in some countries, you might need to apply for it. And in others, you might just sit at your home and get the postal ballot without even applying. And this parallel can be really drawn with the voter registration system. I happened to sit at the session yesterday, which was headed by CEO Sir from Manipur on voter registration. And very similar to voter registration, how some countries can track a voter right from his birth as to, when he reaches that age of 18, they know that, yes, he is now next in line to vote. And so he doesn't need to come and apply before the government that, look, I've turned a new voter. Let me again go through the registration process. Similarly, some countries don't want you to do that for your postal ballots also. But some countries would want you to ideally go and apply before the EMB that you would want through this mode. So this is the basic difference. Of course, as discussed earlier, postal ballots are a great system because they are promoting a lot of inclusivity. There have been a lot of studies that show that countries who have gone for posting ballots, their voter turnouts have increased. And it is giving a strong representation of all communities, especially the aged and the elderly who otherwise would not want to come at the voting station. Also, some countries have given this option for people who, for some reason or the other, due to their work, are not able to come to the polling stations. So ideally, it is reducing a lot of dependency on our physical polling infrastructures. This concept I would want to discuss at length because it is extremely important that if we want to promote a postal ballot as a system, then we need to ensure that the voter trusts the process. So there's this very important line which says that ballot secrecy should ensure no traceable link between the voter identity and voter choice. So identity and choice, these are two concepts that we would want to completely segregate when the postal ballot system is being discussed. And for that, every country more or less follows the double envelope policy, wherein your inner envelope will consist of your choice and the outer envelope will consist of your identity. Now, these two envelopes need to be segregated so that nobody knows who voted for whom. And that is why the concept of ballot secrecy is extremely important if postal ballot systems need to be taken worldwide. There are legal and administrative safeguards that need to be put in place if we really want the system to work. There are countries that have a system of penalties. If somebody, for example, makes public a ballot which is marked, there is complete prohibition of ballot photography or sharing. I have very specifically kept this point of proprietary software system here because I just wanted to briefly discuss the e-voting system, which also has been coming in a lot of, we must have heard it around 2021, some districts in Switzerland, they tried to experiment with the concept of e-voting. So e-voting, they were kind enough to invite a pool of hackers and a pool of IT experts to come and give them a briefing as to if the system can really work or not. So e-voting, if as a concept in the future, if it needs to be introduced, then we need to ensure that there's no IT-related gap. We have strong softwares so that there is no tampering with the master electoral database. In the end, I've written audit mechanisms because just like our normal poll process, ballot secrecy, pre-voting and post-voting also has to be maintained, and therefore a lot of audit checks need to be kept. It also has to do with how your ballot is disposed after the counting is done. So are we really going for checking all these things in depth or not? So audit mechanisms also is one of a very important safeguard. In the end, basically, postal ballot, if you ask experts from around the country, around the world, many experts will vouch for it, but many people might be very much against it because some people feel that when you give too much access to the voters, you actually are losing a lot of supervision. So as an EMB, are we really prepared to give that access to the voters? We need to first understand that. And on top of that, are our voters responsible enough to take that access? So I feel any system, if it needs to be designed, first and foremost is the voter trust. The voter needs to trust the system. Only then your system is sustainable. So, of course, if we come up with ideas wherein we can design very trustworthy postal voting systems, they will work. And maybe in the future, with how my previous speaker said, with moving populations, with people moving abroad, with a lot of migration happening, and of course, globalization is going to the other extent now. This is the need of an hour. But yes, with law, oversight, and enforcement. Thank you very much. That was my time. I would now request Mr. Wimmens, will you be comfortable talking? Thank you. So Mr. Wimmens will share his point of view on postal ballots. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, let me greeting all. Thank you for the invitation to talk here on this subject. What I will try to convey is how Portugal used the postal voting. My first slide was already extremely well covered before the speakers. So just very synthetically, may increase turnout. People that will not vote now can vote. Assess voters for distance or mobility constraints, and also expands the period of the voting casting so it can also be helpful. Disadvantage, harder to verify of voter identity, risk of coercion or pressure on voters, and reduce the privacy and security of voters. This doesn't mean that that will happen. It means that our guarantees that will not happen are diminished for the postal vote. Right? So in Portugal, we have a lot of earlier voters for a lot of the categories we hear before. Servicemen, person in hospitals, voters in prison that has voting rights, and so on. We have several different earlier voters methods. Some of them imply to send by postal the documentation to vote, but the vote is always cast in front of some official incapacity, or even a post station, or a mayor of the municipality where that voter is, usually these two systems. So it's not a real postal vote. Why Portugal, where Portugal uses so the postal vote? Well, we are a small country. We have for the last presidential election, this data, it's before that, we have 1,800,000 more or less voters abroad, and that we have for all elections where they can vote. They are registered as abroad citizens, where they can vote. They can go to the consulates and embassies to vote. But we don't have embassies and consulates everywhere. So for giving you an example, someone in Iceland, in the election for the presidency, where we don't have the postal vote, will have to go to Oslo, Norway to vote. So this implies a flight. This implies time. This implies costs. So in the legislative elections, we have postal vote. We send the double envelope method, a clear instruction manual, and we send for all the world. We see here it's for the last legislative. No, yes, it was for the last legislative 2025, and this is a representation where we send the postal ballots. The voter has to vote, exactly the dual envelope method, place the ballot in the first envelope, places that envelope in the second, and by law has to place a photocopy of the citizen card. Okay? And that will give us some trouble. I will talk about. You can see it's all around the world. This implies more than possible 150 different postal systems. Not all work so well. Not all work as we wish. So we have problems in delivering the ballots to some citizens. But is the way we can make that these citizens can, if they wish, to vote. They are automatic in the legislative. If they don't do nothing, it's automatically postal voting. And it's exclusive. Only the citizens before 60 days before the date of the voting, that goes to or electronic sends to the embassy that's saying, I want to vote presidentially, can go in the day of the vote, voting in the embassy. The others, if they don't say nothing, there will be sent to them, hopefully, the postal documentation for the ballot. Okay? Trying to show you how this is the evolution of the number of citizens abroad, numbers of those that really cast the vote, and the orange line is in the percentage of that, the number of the turnout, if you want. Okay? So as in-person vote in Portugal, you see the turnout diminish through the times. When we start, we had just in 67, we had just the first democratic elections in more than 40 years. So the turnout was amazing in all types of votes. But it diminished rapidly. And for the abroad citizens, as you can see, it goes very, very low numbers. Okay? Because of the difficulties of vote, they give up a lot to vote. So this is the evolution. You see in 2090 that suddenly the number of citizens registered to vote increases more than tenfold. Why? The system was almost automatic. When they update the address saying that now I'm not living in Portugal, I live in France, in Korea, or whatever, they have the option in the electronic form to say, I want to vote as a abroad citizen. And that means that jump in the register votings. But we have a lot of problems. One is by our data, the ballots are tracking postal. So we try in the countries where that works to follow up the sending and the returning of the ballots. About 1/3 of those 1,600,000 votes never reach the voters. Part because they change address and didn't update the address in the register. Part because they don't want to vote, so they don't go pick the ballot documentation. This is sending. It must be received by the person. And if the person is not at home, he must go to the postal office to pick up the documentation to vote. So about 1/3 of them doesn't do that methods. Second, and now this is I'm sorry, the plot is in Portuguese, but the darker bars is the number of voters, the citizens that did cast the postal vote. And the lighter bars are null votes. This is non-valid votes that we received. And the line is the percentage of those votes against the total we received. You can see that non-valid votes are very low. So the people that did really vote knew how to vote. And we see a peak in the 1995. This is when the first time we demand that accompanying the ballot, there was a copy of, at the time was not the ID citizen card, was a voter register card. So many voters didn't got the difference. Probably they already voted so many times they didn't read the instructions, they missed that information, and that makes the vote a non-valid vote. But as you see, the next one, that it doesn't recover completely, but at least goes down. The people understood that there was a difference. Then when we increase the number of votes, you see the sky racking of the non-valid votes. And we had a point where in the 2022 vote, the voting for the legislative, the parliament, where we had to repeat the foreign, the abroad citizens votes, because many didn't send the copy. Some polling stations were counting those votes, even if it was not legal. They were mixed with the rest, exactly to maintain the secrecy. So at a certain point, we had a lot of non-valid votes mixed with valid votes. We could not count that votes. So we had to stop that and repeat only for liberal elections. And from that, you see that it keeps rising. So we have almost 40%. We received about 300,000 postal votes. Almost 40% were non-valid votes. We have more than 150 polling stations, 2 days working sequentially to count these votes. And in the end, we have these numbers that makes the whole process doubting its value. Okay, so it's some change beside the postal, difficult to reach the voters. That we understand that there are voters that don't understand yet the process, but we feel that there are a lot of resistance from some voters to place the ID card photocopy that for other situations is illegal, at least in Portugal. Only this can be used because the law says it's specific. No one can ask for a photocopy of the citizen card. So anyway, even with all these problems, we see that the postal vote here is important. You compare the legislative more or less at the same year as the presidential election that has only in-person vote, and you see the difference in the turnout. Okay? So the first one, the legislative almost 70% turnout, for presidents 5.5. And you see it's the same, they can vary the difference a little, but it's more than the double, many times, maybe it's the triple of voters turning out. sadly, we then are discarding almost 1/3 of the votes. So this is our challenges. This is the reasons why in Portugal use only for this situation the postal vote has many difficulties. Advantage, as you see, the turnout is higher. It's not perfect, very far from that. We are talking at the most 18%. Even in presence vote, it's usually above 50, not a good number, but comparing with 18, it's a great number. We detect recent resistance from voters to send some verification of the identity. As it was told, this is one of the fundamental principles of a democratic vote, knowing that is that person that votes, knowing that the documentation didn't go astray, not used for other votes, even in the House. So it's been very difficult, and all the logistics of the postal. Possible solutions. This is my opinion. It doesn't cover the Election Commission opinion, because officially you cannot have opinion. This is in the pure view of the legislative power, the assembly, so we cannot step there. It's their decision to make or not to make these changes. But we think the law, both systems as complementary, not exclusive. If one person doesn't receive the vote anyway, has the possibility to go to the embassy and vote anyway, even if it sends and is afraid that the vote doesn't reach Portugal, he goes to the embassy vote, and the in-person vote is always the one that trumps any other vote. Right? Once more, my personal opinion. Considering in nowadays the electronic online voting has the same weakness of guarantees of the democratic process, guarantee the citizen is the yet a citizen. It's not being pressured to vote in one way or the other. It's not broken is the right to have his vote secret. Right? But in my opinion, once more, it should never be exclusive over the others. We have a lot of elder citizens that are not so well acquainted with technology, and making not postal only electronic will disenfranchise these persons. So in my opinion, once more, to guarantee that I'm not stepping on the legislative power, it should be probably the three and complementary. So this is, I hope I have make a clear picture of postal voting in Portugal. Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Oh, I had one of these instead of pointing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wimens. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Bishwanath Chakrabarty. He's from the Rabindra Bharati University to share his ideas and inputs on the topic.
So, thank you all of you. First of all, I would like to show my gratitude to CEO West Bengal to provide me the opportunity to speak before you, and also the CEO of his team. The Bandana ma'am is there, Shumanto sir is there, the Bhatt Sahib is there, and Andre from Portugal, and all of you. So I would like to share the ongoing research project, research study on postal ballot. So it is just started. I got some feedback, but on which basis I have selected this study and what types of outcome I am getting, I will show you. The title of my project is Voting Beyond the Booth Postal, Ballot System and Democratic Access. So based on, if we look the background of my research study, so it is different perspective that actually help us to undertake this project. But basic perspectives are the electoral system must accommodate voters unable to access polling station, elderly citizen, person with disability, and marginalized group require alternative voting mechanism. What Andre was saying that is complementary in nature. The postal ballot have long served as a reliable method to extend voting access, and the study identified the best practices. That is the main motto. How can we evolve the best practices for strengthening postal ballot system? So with this backdrop, we have undertaken the study. Then there are plenty of scope for undertaking the study. I will show only two aspects, one related to BLO, because it's very much connected whether the role of BLO played effectively for senior citizen having 85 and above age, because nowadays ECI has introduced the home voting system for senior citizen. So what types of the role BLO are playing, whether further training or further input are required to reach the senior citizen voting. And of course, the physically challenged people. So is there any further requirement or more need is required? So we would like to assess the effectiveness of BLO in this connection. And at the same time, we would look the evaluate the voter awareness. We are all discussing here in a room, sitting in a room, whether the people are at all aware, if it is, at what level, whether they are motivated at all to cast the postal ballot, considering their own age, or they forced to come, or they like to come in booth to cast vote in person, though physically is very difficult for him or her to cast vote physically. So we'd like to see the motivational level of the voters and facilitation for meaningful participation through postal ballot. The objective of the study, basically, there are 8 objectives of the study. Formulation, best practices, what I have said you. Then to identify the benchmark postal ballot system, and then identify the voters and the administrative challenges. What Bhatt Sahib was saying, that there are a lot of challenges also. What are the specific challenges? What are we would like to identify these administrative challenges as well as the challenges before the voters who vote through postal ballot. Then we'd like to see or started to see the assess. We would like to assess the inclusion and accessibility of potential postal ballots for marginalized voters, and you would like to go for detailed evaluation of legal, procedural, and security safeguard of the postal voting system from academic point of view as well as technical point of view. At the same time, we'd like to examine technology and administrative innovation in postal ballot system. Is at all possible, or if it is possible, then what are these? So based on these, we have formulated also some research questions, but I will not go to this research question. I will only show you that what are the area involved or connected with the research questions. First area is development. We would like to develop the best practices and model code of conduct for inclusive and secure postal voting, draw the comparative lesson from postal ballot system in select global democracy, and then identified the administrative, logistical and regulatory challenges in postal voting, then assess the impact of postal ballot on inclusion and participation of marginalized voters in India. Then we would like to further identify the access and usability challenges for elderly and disabled postal voters. Then we would like to strengthen the safeguard for secrecy, transparency, and misuse preventions. And finally, they enhance the reliability through technology and administrative innovations. Research methodology I have adopted. This is mixed method research, both based on qualitative and quantitative data. The content analysis of the electoral laws, official documents, not only in India, throughout the globe, would like to analyze this thing. Then stakeholder survey is very important part of our study on postal voting practices. And finally, we would like to undertake some, or we will conduct the focus group discussions with eligible and affected voters group. So this is basically a mixed method research work, both based on both qualitative and quantitative data. This is the significance of the study. I will not go the significance of the study because already you know. You have, I think you have gone through objectives and the research question. The possible outcome we are expecting, obviously, to formulate the best practices for postal ballot elections further, improve accessibility, reliability, and voters' confidence, and strengthen procedures from application to counting, the whole process we would like to strengthen. Then ensure secure, timely, and traceable ballot delivery. So this is another important area of possible outcome of our study. Then some key findings we have achieved in our project so far, definitely through content analysis, not only in India, throughout the globe. The first of all, I would like to say you that global assessment, according to us, the Indian postal ballot framework align with international best practices, ensuring inclusivity. In other words, I can say that we consider this is one of the best practices the ECI is following. I can say you that our system, procedural point of view, technical point of view, is one of the best system in the globe. So from global perspective, the postal ballot system adopted by ECI of India meets world-class standard. We can conclude this one. Number two is ETBPS, Electronic Transferable Postal Ballot System, offer a multi-layer security framework that meet the high international standard. In true sense, our observation and our findings so far, the ETPBS is multi-layered security framework that meets the high international standard. It's no doubt. So it's very difficult to break the security layer. The third important finding, the participation of the service voter has increased. Participation of service voters has increased after the introduction of ETPBS. So before ETPBS and after ETPBS, if we compare the data, definitely after the introduction of the ETPBS, that actually led a measurable increase in participation among the service voters. This is the third finding. And fourth is, if we look carefully the regional trend, then again I would like to say that there are dissimilarity or disparity or different type of data from different state. Participation in higher in Haryana, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and Punjab in compared to eastern part of India, particularly West Bengal, Assam and Odisha. So postal balloting, the participation in postal ballot system experience shows that the different states have different level of participation. The postal ballot participation is much more higher in Haryana, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab compared to West Bengal, Assam and Odisha. Then special voters preferences. Who are the special voters? No, the constitution holder like governor, the chief minister, the other state ministers, central ministers. They are the special voter. They have to apply for postal ballot. But it is very interesting, according to our finding, the special voters demonstrate lower uptake. Lower uptake, they take less in postal ballot system. They show less interested to cast their vote through postal ballot system, though they are entitled to cast their vote through postal ballot. But they are much more interested to come in the booth and prefer for in-person voting. So this is another important finding. Special voters prefer for in-person voting. Then election duty, regarding election duty voters, this is another important area of our finding. The electors on election duty find postal voting significantly more accessible. So the electors on election duty, they find postal voting system more comfortable, more accessible within their home district. But it is difficult for them to cast their vote through postal ballot if they posted outside of the district. So in home district, postal ballot voting rate is much more higher for on duty electorate. But if they are in outside of the district, outside of the home district, their voting rate is much more lower. And then another aspects that we have got some experience through our content analysis, that is facilitation centers. We consider and we got feedback that there are some more need or substantial scope are there for strengthening facilitation centers for voters deployed on election duties. There are some problems still. The facilitation center for voters deployed on election duty. So there is amply scope, substantial scope for strengthening the facilitation centers for voters voters on election duty. And finally, we got another important area need to intervene from Election Commission point of view, that is awareness and outreaching area. As per our finding, the target communications and outreach are required to enhance awareness of the postal voting across voter categories. So there is amply scope to make a plan for more awareness to create awareness among the target communities, target categories of voters, so that they can feel comfort, because a lot of people have some doubt about the postal ballot, whether secrecy will keep or not, whether this postal ballot will be counted or not. So there are a lot of doubts are there. This type of the different categories of voters who cast the vote through postal ballot. So I think there is ample scope, there is enough scope for more awareness program, for more outreach program from ECI point of view, ECI end, to reach the target group so that they can feel more, they can be more motivated to cast their vote, staying at home or living outside of the state or elsewhere. So with this finding, once again, I would like to thank all of you for patience listening. And at the same time, again, I would like to thank the ECI, the CEO of West Bengal and his team, because of their effort, I'm here as a researcher. So hope after completion of this project, we can give some more enlight, some more area or avenues for future development on postal balloting system in India. Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Professor Sir. We wish you the very best for your research. We would like now to take on some questions. If there are any, we would be very happy to take on a few questions.
I just want to compliment Professor Sahab's research that is ongoing. As you said, in West Bengal, Assam, and Pakistan. Good morning. I am Satyapriya from Bihar, and I am an LLMT also. I was intently listening all these things since the research of Professor Sahab, Vishwanath Chakravarti sir, is ongoing. So there is a lot of scope, sir. So you said that in postal ballot, in eastern regions in Assam, like in West Bengal or Odisha, there is lower percentage of people are opting for postal ballots, and in Haryana and this Uttarakhand and Punjab, there are more. It is just because of the fact that so many people are in the almost in every household they are soldiers, they are in paramilitary CAPF, so they are always on the borders or all in outside their state armed police. So that's why they are they think that this is a given fact, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mary, representing state of Sikkim, India. So I have a question to Professor Chakrabarti. Sir, I just wanted to know that since you are on the halfway of your completion of the project, how does the Indian model, according to you, model of BLO, home visit for approaches to accessible voting, and what specific elements are most transferable as a global best practices? And at the same time, in what ways the data that you collect from the assessment of BLO home visit be used to refine and ensure the electoral inclusivity and accessibility in future?
Two different questions. Protocols. Please.
So, ma'am, this is ongoing project. But still, we consider that first of all, there is a need to increase the training day for BLO. The way the election is a very hurried process, and we get very less time to train the polling personnel. So, first of all, my recommendation will be to give more time for training to motivate them also. Because some BLO consider if they say this way, they know, if you go to home, the elder person, Dadu, Meshamashai, or anything else. So if you go to the booth, it will be better. So I think there is a need for motivate them also, so that the elder people can take the opportunity to cast their vote staying at the home. And at the same time, there is also need from the demand side also. That means the people having the aged people, having 85 years, they also should be motivated so that they can feel that yes, casting my vote, it actually count finally for the election, with the election result. finally, I would like to say, there is a need to focus a special training component on this matter, particularly this postal balloting system. No, so there is need for special attention also. This is up to me. This is so far my experience, but definitely I'm saying it is only started. I have already started, but I have to go far. Then I can get some more concrete point to provide input regarding this.
Just I want to add a little small points. In India, what we are doing in India, what we are doing, the list of probable voters for PWD and senior citizen, that is fixed. That is already mentioned in the electoral rule. Here, BLO only has to visit the particular houses where the person is sitting. And he is only provided with another option, whether he is willing to vote at home or to cast in vote at polling station. In India, sir, generally, poll is taken as a festival. So people prefer to attend the polling station. However, if anyway the senior citizen or a PWD person thinks that I am not able to attend polling station, then BLO in that case will visit home and will deliver him the Form 12D and will allow him to cast vote at home. Thank you.
You wanted to ask something, the
yeah.
gentleman.
Yeah, mine is in fact not a questions, but I just wanted to know from Andre sir. Though I mean the theme is on postal ballot, but I just wanted to know from you. I mean, what are the initiative from the electoral management body in Portugal regarding the implementations of from ballot paper to use of electronic voting machine? So is there any demand from the people, or if there is a demand from the people, and on the other hand there is no any consensus among the political parties, and therefore there is no initiative? Because use of the EVM is now there's a lot of advantage because how to make it election more greener and sustainable. Okay, because when you use the EVM electronic voting machine means we stop using the paper. So stop using the paper means we are saving the environment. So I just wanted to know from you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. As I told, the final decision must be from the parliament. Any change on the electoral laws, they ask the electoral managing body our judgment on the proposals, but they don't have to take into account our opinion. It's just, it's not a pro forma, they obviously read it, but in the final, it's their decision. These abroad voters has been demanding from long time, I would say at least 8-10 years, the electronic vote online. Okay? Specifically the online, where I think we all know, at least Estonia, it's very champion on that method of vote. So far, when asked, the Electoral Commission has always demonstrated some worries on those ensuring guarantees, but as I told you, the reducing of guarantees are exactly the same as the postal law. You may have one more point, is if a foreign actor decide to attack, he can attack one point, that is the server or servers where the online votes are reaching. And the second is maybe someone can see the votes already cast before the final voting ballot. But I think that this will happen, at least for the legislatives. I think it did not happen because we have been passing a very turmoil political. So the parliament session before the one actual last 1 year. So everything that parties would consider doing in this, the electoral law decision exige a lot of work and consensus. It's not a super majority, but has to be some majority higher than the other votes. So that takes time, and when the parliament session only takes 1 year or less, it's difficult. So, but I'm almost sure that this will happen for these citizens at least. I think then when that happens, in Portugal, we want also to have that access voting. If it will be done reality or no, I don't know. I prefer Portugal is a small country. It's not very difficult to access several districts, even the rural one, interior ones. It's more or less, they have poll stations not very far. So I still prefer in-person vote, except where the demanding of in-person vote is in fact disfrazing voters. And that in conditions we think that it should be looked up another alternatives. I don't know if I completely answer your question. I hope so. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, ma'am. I'm Subhash Datta, NLMT, but I will share some question I received as a returning officer. Last time in Lok Sabha election and Assembly election in my state, I faced a lot of questions. I received a lot of questions. I want to share with you all these questions since I have directly received as a returning officer from the field. So we have fixed age 85 years senior citizen. So that is a parameter only, but that cannot satisfy everyone. I received a call from a person. He's stating that SDM sir, you have allowed Mr. X to cast his vote, but I have met him. He's purchasing fish in the market. He's so fit, but his age is 105 years. But my grandfather, he is totally bedridden, sick. He's 77 years, but I cannot help you because the legitimate age is 85. So this is one. Then I received call from the political party in opposition. See, you have sent your BLO and team in the field. They're casting their vote, but they're not allowing us, the opposition party representative, to remain present. They are not allowing us. We cannot reach there. And I received call again in the 4:30 in the evening. Some of the political party representatives, they are doing intimidation, inducing in the home voting, home to vote. And your BLO and person, they are supporting them. So these are the problem. It is there in the field till now. So we have to improve our system day by day in the coming year. In facilitation center is the best I have seen. Managing the facilitation center and casting vote in the facilitation center is the best. There we can improve. I have improved last election by opening several counter. And I have increased the number of counter, and it has facilitated casting of vote within 3 hours. So that is the best I have found. Postal ballot.
Still challenging.
Challenging is there. Yes.
For other districts, it's very challenging to handshake at commissioner level and all that. It's tedious and everything is lost. The cause is lost.
Regarding, sir, point number 2 and 3 that you raised, that intimidation at the time of home voting, I feel that when our mobile polling teams visit somebody's house, there's usually a provision of videography. So if actually that can be emphasized upon, that the whole process from the moment they enter the house till the moment the vote is cast, if the whole thing is videographed properly, maybe that can, solve a lot of our problems. And also regarding the first point that you raised, that what we studied in various other countries, for example, Australia, there is a provision that if you're hospitalized and if you have a proper medical certificate, you are allowed to cast your postal ballot. So I think this can also be one of the very good recommendations. Just like you said, we'll note it down. And when our research team sits to submit their project, we can definitely take the examples from around the world, and this also can be incorporated in the report. So thank you very much for your feedback. Any other question before we conclude the session? Please. Yes, sir. Please, bataiye.
The same note, overseas electors also can be done.
Sir.
We have a lot of overseas electors who do not vote.
Right.
Because postal ballot facility is not
They
given
have to come to the polling station.
We can take a cue from Portugal.
Right.
They are doing it, it seems.
Right, sir.
The Indian diaspora is everywhere. So it is the right time for us to think on those lines.
Absolutely, sir. We'll note it down because usually they have to come to the polling station with their passport. So thank you. We'll consider it. Any other questions?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anamika Pandey. I'm a lawyer in Calcutta High Court. My question is to Dr. Roy. Could you kindly explain the audience that already India has introduced for physically disabled person different kinds of ballot papers? If you can enlighten the audience with regard to the same.
Actually, if you consider the postal ballot is fixed for all. Postal ballot is fixed for all. But for PWD, for example, when the postal ballots are prepared, it is prepared for targeted people. Already we know whom to distribute it. For example, PWD. One of the criteria is PWD, who are having 40% disability, that is benchmark disability. They will be having this facility of home voting, that is postal ballot voting, you can say. And the provision is there for blind. They can take the help of a companion. That provision is last time. It is also mentioned in IIIDEM voting also. During the voting at polling station, he can take the assistance from a companion. And at home voting also, this facility is there. And for IIIDEM voting, as you know, alongside the ballot button, there are braille facility also there, so that a blind person can fill the number and can cast his desired vote in favor of the desired candidate. Thank you.
I would add, so don't you think that this suggestion should go that even for postal ballot, we should have braille for specially blind and deaf people?
But one thing is that the problem is not supply side. Problem is demand side. Unless you have the knowledge of braille system, so how can you use this machine? So problem is not supply side. For PW categories, our basic problem from the demand side. They are not equipped enough to take the opportunity provided by ECL.
Any other question, please?
In the last election, we experienced other way around. There is a demand from the blind voters. Okay, they wanted to use what ma'am is raising the very correct point. Okay, but officials, personnel from the election commission, they can't produce. Okay, so there is a kind of long debate and almost 1.5 to 2 hours debate. But finally, he is demanding for the braille, the postal ballot. But we could not provide. So, is there any scope, sir, in future?
Yes, in scope is there. So we can add in our research also. Yes, can be added.
Okay.
It may be problem for you. It belongs to Sikkim, so your experience may be differ. But regarding West Bengal, so far my knowledge, that we arrange enough opportunity so the people, this type of people, physically challenged people, can take the opportunity to cast their vote to this bail system and other. But in our case, a problem from the demand side, because most of these physically challenged people they are not equipped enough to avail the opportunity. So state to state, the experience may differ.
No, but the same rule is same. No, we have to follow the same rules.
No, but also I feel that we try and cater to the specially abled only during the time of elections. If we actually could start interacting with the people with special abilities, say a year before elections, and we start preparing them, and we start preparing our machinery also, and we get, because as sir also said, that election is a very time-bound process. So every officer is in a hurry because he has to cater to the timelines. So just a little empathy so that the process for absentee voters can be started prior, at least the training and the IEC. I think that would actually do a lot of wonders in at least our case.
I would just add for the audience, since 2019, from Delhi, it has already started that the ballot papers would be provided in Braille as well, if so demanded. So it is for the people to be made aware as soon as they are such PW candidates who are physically disabled ask for it, it would be provided from the Election Commission.
Madam, not only last time in Delhi, in Election Commission, in several other initiatives also. For example, voter information slips. As you know, before poll, these slips are distributed to the elector by BLO, so that the electors can know when the poll is to be held and what to go for polling. And these VIS, last time Commission has introduced, you have to print it in Braille and you have to distribute to all concerned. And IIIDEM also, as you already mentioned, in IIIDEM voting also, another dummy Braille ballot, that is given to each polling party, so that whenever anybody comes who knows about this Braille system, he can be acquainted with the Braille, dummy Braille ballot, then he can approach to the original polling. That's two initiatives already Commission has taken.
Any other question? We can take one more question and then maybe we can conclude the session. Okay, so we don't have any more questions. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for being such an interactive audience. And I think more than you, we've learned from you. So we are taking all your feedback. And I'm sure that when Mr. Professor Chakrabarti comes out with a research report, all of you will be privy to it. Thank you very much and have a good day. Thank you.